This is Awk Analysis.
This is an Awk Analysis. This
is
is
Awk
Awk
Analysis.
Analysis. We're back.
We're back, baby.
Doing more arcs.
Doing more arcs.
And analyzing them. Yeah, you know what I said. I said the analysis.
Ooh, I thought you were going to say something else.
Ass to ass. Oh, you gotta cut that. You gotta cut that out. That's not gonna make the cut, or it will, because Coke is lazy and he doesn't want to edit this.
I don't. I don't. I want to just render it. Put the, just that's it, and then
we'll start now. Then this is an Awk Analysis,
and then out the door.
This is an Awk Analysis. No, he's gonna keep it in. He's gonna say ass to ass in the middle of this really good book that we want to talk about.
Yeah, this is good. This is Farmhand. Reap What Was Sown, Volume 1. That's issues 1 to 5. Published by Image Comics. Written by Rob Guillory. Art by Rob Guillory.
Who was the artist for Chew, which is dope as hell. Yeah, we love Chew. We're Chew fans here. We're supposed to do some more Chew stuff, but
we were supposed to do it. We never did. But we'll come around. We'll do some Chew.
Hold us to all the stuff we said we're coming. It's coming.
Yeah. But, now this kind of breaks the mold for us, because we usually are like, stay away from those books that are written and drawn by the same cat, because they don't usually try. This one was a nice surprise. I like.
Do we say that? It's
usually. It's not like cemented. We're not like, that's it. But no,
there's been amazing ones. Killock, come on.
Oh, you're right, Livio Ramondelli. Damn it. We're gonna do a sequel too, by the way.
Are we doing it?
Oh yeah, we're gonna do that sequel. But
we're
not doing that right now.
Yeah, this is not in fashion of us talking about something different because we don't like what we read. We actually really liked what we read.
This book was, the premise alone is so cool.
It's so weird.
So weird, but it's so original, and I was like, this is sick. How it's basically a farm for human parts.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like,
you heard him right, people.
Yeah.
A farm for human parts.
A farmer named Jed one night is gifted the idea to make a stem cell Jed seed that literally grows body parts from trees, which can be used for transplants and such, which is wild because they don't really tell you how this came about. They just mention it like, oh yeah, one night he's gifted the idea.
Yeah.
So that they're going to come back to that
at some
point. But they don't cover it in this volume, and that was like, that bothered me. Like, not bothered me, but that kept me, like, it bugged me. It's like, I want to know what happened here.
But they do everything else, so they get you really involved in Jed's life and kind of his son and his family and returning back to the farm and what that life entails, as well as his daughter. What's her name?
Andrea,
and what she's been doing, kind of taking up the family business. Because even though we get that little touch tone of, he can grow human parts from plants. It's turned into a booming industry, especially for this small little town. Like, he's to the point that, like, he's built kind of his own little Disneyland kind of farm place where, like, there's rides to talk about how much of a genius he is about growing kind of body parts, and you can go into, I guess, like a little biodome that's drawn like, where you can firsthand see kind of this new science or new botany as it blooms, and that alone's crazy. The fact that, like, the entire town, there's no, like, what was it, EDA or EFDA? What's some sort of government officials to be like, wait, like, FDA, thank you very much, too. Is that food and drug, though? Oh, well, it doesn't matter. ETA. There we go.
Just ETC?
Yeah, I'm just, I'll throw acronyms and you guys fill it out later. For me, it's so crazy that the world has fast-forwarded past, like, don't you think the government would have stepped in at some point and be like, hey, I don't know if you should be growing body parts and just giving them willy-nilly to people? The town has been receptive, and they're like, oh no, we trust it, it works, we're going to keep moving with it. And slowly they start to peel back the layers of what that actually means. But like you were saying, we don't get more information on how it came about. We get more information on the town and the family, which is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's what I appreciate too, just about that. This is kind of like what would you classify this as? It's kind of like mystery, thriller,
comedy.
A bit of comedy, yeah, pinches of humor sprinkled in. Especially, I like it because especially in the background,
Hmm.
which I love because it never weakens the characters, right? It's more like background stuff. Like if you read some of the billboards and the posters and the signs, it's like it's funny stuff, man.
And it's usually coming from like the kids or something. Like
Yeah,
the youngest son usually says an offhand comment like,
yeah,
"I got a number one or number two." It's like, "I got a number two, but a little bit of number one will come out too."
yeah,
And I was like, "Oh, that's pretty funny." When they go fishing.
yeah. The characters are all very interesting too for different reasons, which I think is cool. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint who the main character is, but I guess it would be Zeke.
Yeah,
I guess it'd be Zeke.
because we follow Zeke,
Jedediah's
right? Like
son.
the first issue is Zeke's dream or nightmare of like what his father's done, and
Yeah,
like now he's going back to the farm, like, and his family's moving back to the farm, right? Like he's, I guess, lost his job, and his wife and two kids now got to leave with their situation. They're going back to kind of where the family money is, and like that's an underlining issue too of just like your dad's rich, like you don't have to work. You kind of just ask for money. It's like, nah, like I'm not. We don't have that connection, my father and I. Like it's
hmm
very much strained, especially with the loss of his mother, Jed's wife, and we don't get more information on that. But I feel like that's gonna another theme that will probably come back up too. Um, there's it's the characters are a lot more richer than I was expecting, given the content.
yes,
I thought this was gonna be like a very simple, like zombie sort of like, oh, they're plants, so they're gonna turn into plant people. But no, like there's even a political kind of undercurrent
that's right.
storyline, and then you find out the connections between that. And I was like, okay, again, we usually ask if you're gonna read ahead. I already read ahead. I
Did you?
did. I did one issue ahead, and I was like, no, I'm gonna keep reading this. This is good. And again, you would with this type of like, I don't want to say storyline. This type of idea, you could take it very seriously, and it would still be kind of interesting. But the way that he managed to weave in humor in different levels and different areas, and I really think the art style too lends it to you having more fun with the book as opposed to taking it as seriously as you could.
I agree because the art's very cartoonish,
Mhm.
and the core of it's very serious. This is a
Yes.
very serious and dark and twisted. Maybe not dark, but it's more twisted like idea.
Mhm.
So but it's like we were saying about the humor. It's sprinkled in. The art's very cartoony. So you're right. It gives you that flexibility where sometimes you can be a little silly, but at the same time, it's not really. It doesn't take away from what the story's about, right?
Right.
And what the characters are going through, and like the guy that with the robotic arm who was trying to
Yeah.
steal the thing,
Yeah.
like that whole scene is like what he's doing is very serious, and then but the way he's
He does
animated
it
when he's
right.
jumping, he's like drop kicking guys and stuff,
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah.
like,
Oh, split both feet
but
and everything.
yeah, which is cool. But then the aftermath where there's quote unquote like interrogating him, I was like,
It gets
this is
dark,
kind of threatening. Yeah, like
and then
this is
and then
so they
gets an offer he can't refuse.
yeah,
And that's the thing about I think the characters in the writing. I don't think anyone is all good or all bad. Like everyone has definitely shades of
very gray.
their level of like my morals will let me do a little more than the next person's morals do. So it's interesting to see how each character will expand throughout this story and kind of um, later chapters. Because I don't want to give away anything, so I won't. But I don't know who is on the level as much as they say they're on the level. Coke knows what I mean. And then
Yeah,
we find out more things about people that we didn't even know were on the board, and now they're major players.
yeah. I like the Well, I will. This isn't a spoiler, but things like the caterpillar dog
You
is a highlight like that, and there are plenty of strings to cling to as you read.
mean
There's a lot of
fuzz nuts?
yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff going on because he's just kind of in it, and then he's not.
Yep.
It's like what the hell was that?
Yep.
What's he doing? What's his goal? So they do. He does sprinkle in some things like how did Jedediah figure out how to do this?
Right.
What the hell's that caterpillar dog?
Right.
Like what's the deal with the lady running for mayor? Like what is like
Yep.
what's give me more, and they give you just enough to kind of keep you satisfied, but you want to know more. So it's really well paced. That's
Uh,
what it is. The pacing's really good.
I will say this about Coke and his recommendations. Anytime he recommends something that shows me a barn, I know I'm in for a trip. Um,
Yeah,
and there's it's not the splash page. It may be the content page, like between the cover art and the first panel. There's always a little black bar with a red. kind of door. And I was like, okay, like, and this feels homey. Like this feels like a world lived in. Like you get into like the different types of day in and day out that the small town would go through. In terms of even more so, there's the little celebration about like cutting up the pig, like what they do, and
That's right.
how that turns. Like is just a smart, logical step based on everything that we're learning, and you could start seeing the ramifications of what this world, what Farmhand is setting up. So it's really smart. I don't know if we said it, but it's really smart.
It's
And
clever, yeah.
yeah,
I don't know if the tone will be for everybody because, like I said, it works for me. I'm assuming it works for you as well. Um,
we like
some
dark.
people might want a more straightforward, like I want it to be dead serious, or I want it to be just ridiculously silly, and it's this strays somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
But really well. I think it's really well. The humor works. It's never too much. The earlier issues is a bit more silly, but then as it goes on, it gets kind of like you said when the political thing comes into it, it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like all right.
And then
So
you start seeing for what reasons, right? Like,
yeah,
and then the connections off of that, right? Like, I think the final two issues, there's like a alarm that happens to like Jed. Jed starts freaking out for specific reasons, and then you start to see the ramifications of
yeah.
why that
And he's
is.
trying to protect this. Like it's not like what I think was really cool too is like this isn't just like oh this is my idea and everybody respects it. It's like no, people are trying to steal his
Yeah,
idea. People are trying to move in on his territory. People are trying to copy it. People are trying to like strong arm him and stuff. Like he has to be really tough. And I'm excuse me. I don't know how much you read ahead, but I'm really interested to see how cutthroat he has to become
yeah.
because to get as far as he's done already,
He's had to cut a lot of throats.
he's got to be pretty gangster. Yeah. And his son is kind of being sucked into this because he can't remember. He's trying to find a job.
Yeah,
He can't really nail one down. But he's getting sucked into this family business
family
again.
business. Yeah,
It's almost like a Michael Corleone thing where it's not obviously not mafia, but it's he doesn't really like. It's
but
not like he doesn't want to be a part of the family. He wants to be involved, but he doesn't really want to take it over. But he might have to.
there's a sense that like this family needs to strong arm anyone that's going to go against the family, right? Like
Yeah,
we have an import export that needs to be protected in order for this family to thrive. Um, it's really interesting that you never get the feeling that like Jeb strays from his humble roots. Like he's always wearing overalls. Like he always seems like
yeah,
I'm gonna go like plow the soil now and like go like dig in the roots. But then in certain circumstances, like there's a tonal shift. Like he's drawn a little differently, or like shadows are played a little more, and you get
yeah,
to see him be more of a godfather, or be more of like a doctor, or more like, and those tones are really. It's so cool how quick they weave in and out of that because then he'll go fishing and be like, I remember when you were a kid, you were a little shit.
yeah.
talking to Zeke. He's
That's
like,
right.
oh, I gotta go grow some arms now, right? So it's a really really cool book.
Yeah, like I said, the premise alone. Like I didn't really quite know what I was getting into when I started reading it because I hadn't read it before. I recommended. I hadn't read it. I was just like, oh, this looks interesting.
Yeah.
It's the artist from Chew, so the
Easy,
art's cool,
yeah,
and
easy sell.
it's getting really good reviews. I don't know what it's about, but I'm gonna check it out. And I read it, and I was like, oh, that's dope. That's different. That's
Mm-hmm.
interesting. That's completely different. I'm into it. Let's go. Like the first issue, I was like, yep, all right, I'm hooked. So I'm gonna actually move this up the docket. This was gonna be further down. I was like, no, we're moving this way
Good
like months ago,
call.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I moved it
good
way up.
call.
So
Good call.
we've only done 15 minutes. I don't know what else to say about this because I want to dig into it, but I don't want to spoil anything because it's.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can see that we're at a standstill here. We would love to just talk all the shit about this book because we enjoyed it so much, but we this is one of the things that we like it so much that we want you to read it. So it's kind of less is more. Um, you want to talk politics instead?
I will say interracial love. Thumbs up. We support interracial love.
Thrives in this book. It may happen
Yeah,
two
it does.
times. Like one obviously announced, right? Like Zeke's wife is white,
Yep.
and Zeke is black. He has two biracial children. But there's another dynamic that I won't list that looks like it could have been something,
It was something. Yeah.
and that has another ramification given that this was here and this was happening over here. So, oh yeah,
I
this
love
is
how
totally hard to talk about.
I love how inconsistent we are. We either like blow books out of the water and we tell you everything, or we tell you nothing, and and we never know what it's going to be until we're recording. It's like, nah,
It's all cloak and dagger.
yeah, because it's not even like if we like it, we keep it close to that. We normally we do that, but other times we'll spoil things we like, and vice versa. Right? Other things that are just horrible, we're like, nah, we just want to talk about this.
And it would have been interesting if one of us didn't like it. They'd be like, "Well, what about this scene?" And they'd be like, "All right, fine, we'll just talk about all of it now." And
that's true. We'd be arguing more.
Yeah.
When we agree, let's just say it.
It's like, this is good. It's like, yep. Did you like this? Yep.
Yep.
Is it art good? Yep.
Yep.
Writing? Yep. Gonna read
Did you
more?
laugh?
Yep. Yep.
How far did you read?
I just read one issue, and then you're like,
one more.
I'm ready to roll. And I was like, all right. I would have been reading right now.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, you're reading. Yeah.
yeah. Because the whole that final page for the final issue 5, where I think we say that, like the bus depot stuff.
Yep.
That was enough for me. I was like, okay, like something's gonna happen now, and something's starting to happen now.
That's crazy because like there'll be people. This isn't spoiling. This is just kind of getting people amped up. Like characters will come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, your dad owes me money, or your dad, yo, I want what your dad's doing. It's like, what?
Like, where were you?
Yeah. The hell are you? Is this guy? And then people will just show up, and it's like, who are these people?
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel and then-y. It feels just like all right, we're gonna learn more about them later.
It feels planned. It feels like if you've ever played a game and like you have to expand your map.
Yeah.
But they only give you a limited map in the beginning, and you have to make sure. So we've only seen this limited amount of map, and they're like, okay, it all looks kind of on the level. It's weird, but everyone makes sense. And then they just opened a little bit of the map, and you're like, oh no, there's stuff going on over here that I need to pay attention to immediately, or like it's going to come back and ruin the part of the map that I already know. So I think everything circles around that barn. Again, we'll do a keep 6. What do we do? Power wreck of barn books, barn burners. It's definitely a barn. If a barn doesn't burn in this book, hey, look at that alliteration. Still gonna keep reading. But again, there's something to be said with comic books with barns in it. Something freaky is going on.
Something about that, yeah.
Something going on in the barn.
I don't know what it is, man. Something about I'm gonna find one that's bad.
Bad. You find a bad barn book? Don't find no bad barn book.
It'll be a bad barn burner.
I don't want no bad barn book.
Yeah.
Like, Coke, don't do it. I only want good barn burners.
I'm gonna like search for like just one that have barns that are just terrible, and they're all gonna be good. And it's like I can't find one because barn is this secret sauce.
That's the secret, right? If you can write a barn, you can write a book.
you dodge a wrench. All right. Oh, by the way, so
are we dodgeball now?
We rate books on a good or bad basis. Boom being good, bad being bad, ba being bad. I can't talk. Or whoosh if it's like we don't know what we just read.
Yeah, it's weird.
This is a boom.
Yeah, this is a ba boom.
You can't do that.
Ba boom. I can't ba boom.
No, you can't ba booey. You can ba booey.
Can I ba bomb? Can I ba? No, it's not ba. Wait, what's good again? Can I boom barn? Boom. Yeah, my bad. Can I boom barn book?
Boom barn book. Yeah,
boom barn
book. It's a boom barner book.
It's a book barner boom.
It's a barn burner boom.
It's a This is us trying to like. We can stress this is 20. This is a 20-minute. This is a 20-minute. Yeah, we got this. Book barn boom. Boom barn book. No, it's a great read. The reason we didn't tell you anything about it is because we want you to read it. Plot wise.
Yeah, I went in. We both went in blind, right? I went in blind. Didn't say
well,
anything.
No, I can read. I'm not blind. Okay, so
you're a blind boom barn burner. Book.
Wait, can we laugh for 20 seconds?
We have 15 seconds. Unless, when I edit this, it might be even shorter because I'm cutting things out.
Yeah, please take out ass to ass. Although it'll probably make it in the end. Yeah. But he didn't get that. But when he replays it, he'll hear that. It's good.